Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk some baseball. And I know this is kind of where we start coming to an end here on the channel, but it's been a fun ride. We still have 7 games for the most part left to go over, so we will have a lot of baseball still remaining as we kind of segue into the postseason action. Where we're gonna be talking about that a little bit. We do have some postseason consideration to talk about in terms of futures, and I'll give you guys kind of insight into that right now because right now also the biggest thing going is the fact that there's only 4 games today. So there's going to be a little bit more action within the futures conversation in this video. So if you're new to the channel, please, while we got some time, make sure you guys subscribe down below, smash that like button, and feel free to join us on all our platforms. There are links down below in the descriptions if you want to get involved with what we have going on here on the channel. And that's kind of what we got going on. So let's get it. Let's talk some baseball. And hopefully everybody had a great weekend recovering from some football. We had another wacky week within the NFL, so on and so forth. But we are back, and let's get it going, okay? So the first game we're going to talk about is into the Cubs and Philadelphia Phillies. Looking at this playoff scenario, right? This is where we have Nate Pearson going against Aaron Nola. So how deep did they let Nola go? This is going to be probably his, I want to say his first or second start. I'm just curious if they're going to shut him down before the postseason kicks off. This may be his last start for the regular season. But here we look at the Phillies, 92 and 63 on the season, 64 actually after losing. But that's kind of what we have within this matchup. I do think the Cubs in this spot, though, it's worth noting. Okay, if we look at the Cubs in the NL Central, they're essentially eliminated from wild card and from the NL Central. The NL Central has kind of been that dud team, even with Milwaukee, 88-67 on the season. But that's kind of where we look at the Phillies here. I think they catch them at home. I think this is a strong play for the Phillies, minus 160. It's just too big of a number to play. This could be a potential blowout, in my opinion. And always look for the Phillies bats to stay hot. So I would lend towards taking the Phillies. I think the Cubs are going to be one of them lay-down teams right now. But I'm not going to play this game. It's not where I find the edge. Okay. And then the next game we're going to talk about is the Boston Red Sox and Blue Jays. All right, this is something where the Boston Red Sox are 5-12 in their last 17 games, coming in as an underdog. We look at kind of what's going on within the playoff situation. And Toronto's eliminated. Boston, conversely, they're essentially eliminated. And this is where we look into kind of how this is all shaping up, okay? There is literally less than a 1% chance that the Boston Red Sox makes the playoffs. And we look at the Red Sox with Tanner Houck on the bump. Why are we seeing a plus 105 price? That's kind of curious to me. So it's kind of a value play. If you do like Boston, I'm not mad at you for it. They will go on the road, play a Blue Jays team that has been pitching with the best of them, and they do have some bright spots in that lineup. But I think this is something where both teams are just going to be looking for postseason, and I do think there is some opportunity here within Boston, taking them at plus money, plus 105. I don't really understand why Boston is plus money on the road. The Blue Jays, conversely, losing 4 out of their last 5. It's just kind of where we're at, guys. I think this is a buy low spot right now, and I like Boston plus 105 here on the money line. I think that's a great value play. You never know. You fight till the end, and now you get a better pitcher, in my opinion, going on the road and trying to get a win for their team. And Boston's just been playing a little bit better baseball right now. So we're going to buck that trend within the last 17 games as an underdog. And also you got to keep in mind that we do get a little bit more runs from the Blue Jays at home, but it's going to be something where I lend towards Boston on the money line. All right, Seattle, Houston, this is a simple play for me, over 7.5. I know Hunter Brown's pitching, and we see who he's going against. We're going to look at Hunter Brown and Bryce Miller. This is just too low of a number, 7.5. Astros are at home. The Seattle Mariners have been a sneaky little over team, reversing that trend. I think we get some runs in this game, maybe like a 5-4 ball game. And I think the Astros need to keep that offensive pressure going. So I see some value taking the Astros on the run line as well. But for me, the better play in this side is the 7.5, just due to the Seattle offense that has been hitting the baseball pretty well as of late. Okay, so the last game that we do have a play in, I am going to play the over 8.5 in the Diamondbacks. Arizona is kind of in that weird spot where they have to basically keep winning to get in. They have a 95% chance of making the playoffs. and getting in via the wild card. But you have to look at the Dodgers clinching the NL West, and then they have that 2 games back from the San Diego Padres, where from all accounts it looks like we're going to get 3 teams. In from the NL West. The only thing you have to worry about is the New York Mets and how that shakes out for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But if the Giants were to lose this game and a divisional foe doesn't want to see their team make the playoffs, that's kind of where we could lend towards that argument, and possibly get in the Arizona Diamondbacks in a weird little late season drama alert within the postseason, making the postseason. So I am going to go also towards the over in this one. Okay, so we're going to go over in Astros and then over in the Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez has not been on top of his game. We do go get a matchup against Hayden Birdsong, who, great talent, great arm, but I think the Diamondbacks can get to him. I think this is too low of a number, too. 8.5 on the board. We are going to take the over 8.5. Kind of a play for me because I do think the Diamondbacks win this game, but I also think it's a play where they might win it in a shootout. So, if the Giants want to score some runs against Rodriguez and his poor performance as of recent, let's give ourselves some insurance in case the Snakes lose by taking the over 8.5. That way we kind of have an out. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's how I'm betting the Diamondbacks to win the game, is by taking the over, essentially. So taking Arizona over 8.5. All right. So that'll basically wrap it all up. I do want to share with you guys kind of some stuff going on right now. We can pull up right now on oddsjam. These are the best numbers for the futures market within baseball. Okay. So right now we can see the NL winner, Dodgers plus 205. That's an interesting little price there. Okay. Interesting price because it's basically a coin flip between them and the Phillies with 7 games left to play. There's some value with that. Also, we look down the odds board. You can find a plus 1,300 with the Cleveland Guardians. A lot of sneaky little exactas you could be playing with MLB futures. Adding the Tigers into the mix. This is something where you could get really creative and give yourself a great ticket to hedge your way out of within postseason. Once we get closer to October, just food for thought. You can look at some of the numbers here on the odds board, and I'll show you kind of if we can get down the list. This is where we could find kind of what's going on, right? So you can find these big numbers, kind of take their performance, or I should say their games left, and leverage that against them to find a great number, such as with the Mets plus 3,200. The outside shot the Braves get in plus 3,900. The list goes on. You can kind of really get into some weird leveraging situations where these teams have, they don't have the best chance. Like right now, the Braves have about a 30 to 40% chance of getting in. The Mets about 70%. And that's where you can find some value. So take the Mets. Their pitching rotation has been pretty serviceable. Take the Mets, possibly winning the NL. Scrappy team. Nobody wants to play them as long as they get in. But right now, you can find plus 3,200 on the Mets to win the World Series. Who knows? Maybe they make the World Series. Before the game starts, you got a 32-1 ticket with the Mets coming out of the NL. Then you can go bang the AL champion, and then get yourself a nice little payday there. That's just kind of how you can approach it. That's just with the World Series market in terms of winners. Diamondbacks at 23-1 is appealing. The Padres 14-1. I'm looking a little bit middle towards the odds board. I know everybody and their brother is going to be Dodgers, Phillies, Astros. Could have had that, kind of before the season started. I just don't get there. I think when we look at kind of pitching staffs and how much that plays a role, I can tell you one thing. Yes, Dodgers, Phillies, and the Astros and the Yankees for that matter. Those are going to be the four chalky plays at the top of the odds board. But the Astros at 11-1. That's a scrappy team with probably the best rotation for my money left in baseball, still eligible for the playoffs. But I'm looking down here at the odds board. I'm looking Guardians, Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets. Those are the 4 teams that I'm looking at. Those are scrappy teams that I do not want to be playing, especially with Cleveland with the first-round bye. Sometimes that can work against you. But Cleveland plus 1,300. Get them into the World Series. Get them in like a 50-50 outcome within the Dodgers, or maybe if the Dodgers, Phillies go down, and then Cleveland ends up having that higher seed. Maybe we get a little bit more of a plus, a better number on Cleveland, and that leaves us into a great hedge. So I'm probably going to be making a move. I got to be honest with you. I was a doubter of Cleveland before the season, And now as we get into where all the chips are falling, that's just one team I don't want to play. Okay, I think it's some crazy statistic I saw the other day where they had so many players in their rotation. I think it set a record for most players in the rotation under a 2 ERA, and that includes relievers or something like that. So that was just a crazy little tidbit. Okay, but that's going to be where I'm at. Don't really have any crazy futures bets. I got a little action with the Orioles still live, but that number didn't really have any value because now I could get a better number than when I bet it. But I thought the Orioles were going to make a lot more moves come trade deadline, and that's something where it's all right. We'll live with it. We got some other tickets out there. I'm almost thinking about though, like I'm kind of in this weird state of mind where I might just absolutely hammer the Dodgers, but it's kind of coming down to it where if you ask me who's going to win the World Series, it's Dodgers, Phillies. It's Dodgers or Phillies for me. So I'm staying out of the AL. I love my Indians, but the NL is kind of that team, and I think you're going to see this where we get a little bit of value here after this thing kicks off. Hoping for an upset, and it looks like Cleveland wrapped up that first round bye, which is great. We'll see what happens within the Tigers, but the other thing that lends me to take these guys a little bit later down the odds board in terms of futures is there's really no home field, in my opinion, when it comes to postseason play. Okay, so for baseball, yeah, the stadiums get rowdy. You see it, you see all the towels Fox sends out, and it's great for the television set, but I don't think it provides much value within home field, other than the fact that you get the bat last. I think it's pretty much just it's a little outside noise. So when you look at seeding and stuff, the biggest thing I could tell you is look at the Tampa Bay Rays, for example. When you have that play-in game, you can have success coming out of that play-in spot. Sometimes it puts you at an advantage because you stay hot, you stay fresh. You do get to lose that one spot in the rotation as you get into the next round where you don't really match up ace on ace. But, there's some strategic moves you can make with that. There's some chess that goes back and forth. But I want to just tell you guys that for my money, I think we look down into that 10 to 15 spot in the odds board where, like I said, I'm talking Houston 11-1, Cleveland 13, Padres 14, and even the Mets and Snakes right there at 32 and 23. Those would be my long shots. Kind of like what you could do. I mean, just fade the chalks. But for my money, I do think that I'm this close to just laying some heavy action on the Dodgers to take it home. I just don't trust their pitching rotation. And for as good as Ohtani is, he does have a lot of, he might have had the best single game in the history of Major League Baseball, but he does have a lot of games where he goes, 3 strikeouts, 0 for 4. You could pitch around him a little bit. I'll tell you guys I'm blue in the face. The MVP of that squad is Mookie Betts. They go as he goes. So especially in the postseason where he looks to come alive. Not a Dodgers homer either, but if you do know baseball, you have to respect the Dodgers. Can't hate them. They got a great organization, and they play baseball the right way. So that's where I'm at. These are my picks. It's kind of a weird slate, only 4 games. So couple that in with the Monday night action we have in the football market. Let's go get it. Let's take some tickets to the window and cash these bets here for this 4-game slate in the MLB. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and leave me a comment down below. Who do you guys have in the postseason? Where's the bets at? Let's try to get a little poll. I might throw a little poll up here on YouTube, who's going to win the World Series, and that way we can kind of fade the public, right? But just kidding. Appreciate you guys. Subscribe down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.